Hello. So this weekend I was in my local Price Chopper, and in the clearance aisle in the freezer they had one bag of rhubarb, and I think that's the last bag of rhubarb frozen in the metro area. But anyway, I picked it up because it was half price, and I thought, I think I could make a freeze-dried strawberry rhubarb pie. What do you think? Well, we're going to give it a go. So I looked online, kind of got a recipe, but I had to modify this because we're not going to bake it. So what I have here is I've got 2 pounds of strawberries that I cut up fresh, the 1 pound of the frozen rhubarb that I've thawed out and drained. I'm going to mix that in there. Then a half a cup of all-purpose flour, and a 1/4 cup of just plain granulated sugar. So we're going to give that a toss, get everything coated. Now all the instructions I read said to let that sit for 30 minutes. So we're going to let that sit for 30 minutes, and in the meantime I'm going to preheat my oven. And much like my chicken pot pie that I made, I bought another tube of this Pillsbury Grand's Sweet Hawaiian Flaky Layers biscuits, and I think we're going to use that as our pie crust. So I'm going to preheat my oven to whatever this can says I need it to be. 350 degrees. Or 325 for a non-stick cookie sheet. So I'm going to use a non-stick cookie sheet. So 325 degrees, I'm preheat that for 30 minutes. By the time that's preheated, this will have set long enough. So I'll see you then. Okay, so that's been sitting about 25 minutes. So I figured it's time to do my biscuits. Let's see how long those got to be in the oven. About 16 minutes it says. So let's get this opened up. Get my biscuits laid out. We get those popped into the oven and cook those for 16 minutes, and then while that's baking, I'll get this set up. I'll see you then. Okay, so we got this over here. I'm going to put this on about a medium heat for now. I'm going to stick this on the heat and start to cook these. We're going to probably cook this for about 30 minutes, and I'm going to cover it to simulate it being covered in a pie dish, and this does have a steam release, so it'll be much like it was in a pie crust. So I'll keep an eye on that and keep stirring that, and I'll let you know how long I cook that for. I'll probably jump in here about halfway through and let you see what it's looking like. I'll see you then. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes, and I noticed that this is starting to stick. And if that was in a pie, you'd want it to be nice and thick, like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce that temperature down, the heat down to simmer. And bear in mind, we are going to freeze dry this, right? So I'm going to add some water to that, 1 cup of water. Because I'm not worried if this gets runny. because when we freeze dry it, all that water is going to evaporate, or whatever you call it. There's a name for it. I can't think of it right now. So I'm just going to, that way it won't stick to the bottom of my pan here. And I'm not worried if that's going to be runny or not. So we're making this a little bit soupy, which is not what you'd want in a pie. But when I freeze dry this, when we reconstitute it, we won't reconstitute it this soupy. That's the plan. So I got that on simmer. We'll let that simmer for a while and let that flour basically cook up. And that is the beeper for my biscuits. So let me get those out, and I'll see you when the strawberries are done. Okay, so we're on our last 5 minutes here. So let's just go over what we did. We got two pounds of strawberries, 1 pound of rhubarb. Both of those were all chopped up. We added 1/2 cup of flour and 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Then I discovered that we needed to add some water, so we added 1 cup of water. Now we've been simmering that for 30 minutes when all's done, when this 5 minutes finishes here. I'm simmered that for 30 minutes, and about every 5 minutes I gave it a stir. Reason being, because I wanted to see how that is on the bottom. I want to scrape the bottom of the skillet so that don't burn on the skillet. What we're trying to do here is get our rhubarb cooked, basically. So that's been 30 minutes of simmering. I'm going to turn the heat off and let that cool down. Okay, so my strawberries are cooling down. So let's get these biscuits that I pulled out of the oven earlier, get them ready to freeze dry. I'm going to cut them in half. I want to try and keep them whole. We're going to freeze dry them like that. Alright, I'm going to get those in the freezer until they're frozen solid, and they'll go into the freeze dryer just like that. Okay, so that is cooling down. It's still quite hot over there, but I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about my molds I'm going to use here. I got these on Amazon, and they come in a sheet like that. These are the perfect size of a wide mouth mason jar. So my freezer is pretty small, so what I did was I carefully cut down the center there like that, so that I have 2 smaller molds that I can work with in my freezer, and that's what I did with those. I'll leave a link to these in the description box below. So what we're going to do is try and fill those molds up, and let's see how many we're going to get out of that. Hopefully I'll get about enough. I'd like to do eight jars. We'll see. That'll work. So I got 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, which is what I want. Alright, so we'll get these in the freezer frozen solid, and they'll be going in my next load. Okay, so here we have it. This is my strawberry rhubarb pie. I should let you know that my freeze dryer said these were ready about 22 hours into it, but my work schedule and everything didn't jive with that, so I added another 24 hours basically, so it's been in 48 hours. But apparently it says it was done early. I don't trust that because there was a lot of very unmoist stuff in there, so it's probably sensing done when it wasn't, because these strawberries I know take a long time. And even though they were cooked, they probably had a lot of seeds in them. I didn't trust that at 22 hours. But I just wanted to let you know that. So let's get this kind of organized. We'll get it bagged up. And what I thought these would do is look interesting if I put a bottom of my Hawaiian biscuit in the jar. Hopefully they'll fit. They're a little bit tight, but that's cool. That's the bottom crust. Then drop 2 pucks of the strawberry pie filling, and then take a Ziploc bag so we can rehydrate that by adding water, and then put the top biscuit right here, which is going to be our top crust, in a Ziploc bag, leaving it unzipped. We put that in the top of the jar. So I'm going to get these all bagged up, and then I'm going to go back and put an O2 absorber in these, and we're good to go. Okay, so there you have it. I've got it all vacuum sealed up. That's what it looks inside there. Alright, so I did some testing on this for rehydration, and I found that I'm going to have to make some modifications how I package this. So I'm going to open these up that I got left. What I'm going to do is remove the bottom crust, because that was just too much crust to be added. And I also noticed that when rehydrating it, if I broke it up into pieces, the puck, that it rehydrated a lot better. So I'm going to break these up. And then I'm going to put the top crust back in. And my O2 absorber back in. And reseal it like that. Well, let me put my O2 absorber below. There. So let me get that done, and then we'll do I'm going to show you how I rehydrate it. Alright, so there's my hot water from my Keurig. Let's go to my timer. Put it on 5 minutes, because that's what we're going to do. So we're going to open the jar. Pull out the top crust and my O2 absorber, and we're going to pour a half a cup of very hot water. This is water from my Keurig. That's a half a cup. Now the temptation for me is to not wait the 5 minutes, so we're going to press start, and I'm not going to open this up again until that 5 minutes is up. Give that a little shake, get everything wet, and we're going to let that sit for 5 minutes. I'll see you when it beeps. Okay, I'm on my 10-second countdown and realized I didn't put my lights on, so should be a lot brighter for you to see here. There we go. Okay, so let's open that up and let's give that a good stir. And as I'm stirring this, I'm kind of poking the big chunks of rhubarb and strawberry, kind of making sure that they're at least a little bit soft. And they seem to be all right. Like they've reconstituted pretty well. I'm going to take my biscuit and put that in there with the crumbs. Break that up. There you go, that's what it looks like in there. Let's see what it tastes like. Yeah, that came out good. This is strawberry rhubarb, so it's not really sweet, but you get the tartness, which is what I like in a strawberry rhubarb pie. The biscuit, or pie crust I'm calling it, is not overwhelming like when I first reconstituted with both the top and the bottom of the biscuit. So you definitely only want to use half of a biscuit. A couple of the strawberries are still a little bit chewy. Not totally reconstituted. But there's just enough crispiness to that biscuit. It didn't all turn to mush yet to make it kind of feel like you're eating a pie. There you go. Strawberry rhubarb pie, freeze-dried in a mason jar. I mean, it don't look like a slice of pie, but it sure tastes like a slice of pie. Got every flavor in there. I'm really happy with that. I think I'm going to be doing peach cobbler. I got some different ideas on that one though. I want to try something different, so look out for that video coming up here soon. Yeah, I like it. Like I say, some of the might be the rhubarb actually. That's a little bit chewy because I didn't really cut those up in smaller chunks. I got them frozen, and they were pretty big chunks. And I'm thinking it's the rhubarb that's a little bit chewy from not rehydrating totally. But if I left that any longer, all that crust would turn to mush. And as it is now, it has some good crusty texture still to it. Definitely tart. Definitely like eating a piece of pie. Gotta finish it. It's almost done now. Man, that's good. There you go. I think that's the first strawberry rhubarb pie with the crust, freeze dried and reconstituted. Let me know what you think. I hope it inspires you to try something on your own. Try your own recipe for strawberry rhubarb pie. The one I used, I just got off the internet, modified it just a little bit by adding water, and did it on a stove top instead of inside a crust. But try a recipe you like. I think you'll be amazed. Alright, I'll see you on the next video.